Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of I See Bad Movies, yay! You probably had a little laugh there in the background. I'm obviously joined with the galactically glorious Emma Spicer.
Hello.
Hello Emma. This season is all about...
Bad movies in space.
Yes it is, and boy do we have what I think could be quite a doozy.
Good.
For
Well,
us.
to be fair, last week was pretty bad, wasn't it?
Oh God, yeah. It
But
really
not bad
was.
in a good way, just bad.
Just bad.
Yeah.
Just bad. If you haven't listened to our episode on the J-Lo movie Atlas, yeah. I mean, still listen to it.
Yeah, listen to this episode, don't watch the movie.
Don't watch the movie. We tell you everything that happens and all you need to know. All you need to know. Now, Emma, do you know the name of the movie we're watching tonight?
You just told me, and no. I already forgot.
And I don't blame you, because I've never seen this movie.
Well, I've never heard of it, actually.
Didn't even know it existed.
No.
But
it is from my favourite era. It's from the 80s.
It is. It's 1988. Quite
Some
possibly.
Good costumes and good hairdos in this one.
Oh, yeah. And I've seen some of the trailer, so it looks very, very 80s, let's put it that way. So, would you like to know a little bit about how it happened? What's going on with it? What's this film?
Yes.
Okay, you will have to forgive me. I've been telling Emma I've forgotten my glasses. I've left them in the car, so I'm holding the phone quite a way away from my face. Now, in the distant future in deep space, the large colony... Wait a second.
Distant future?
Wait a second. No.
Is that the Atlas?
I haven't even told the people the name of the movie yet.
Oh. Yeah, that might help.
It is the distant future. The year 2000. Sorry. No. The movie is called Space Mutiny. Okay, from 1988.
So it's 1988 it was made, but it's set in the future?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The distant future.
Nice and specific.
So let's get to the actual... now we know the name of the film. In the distant future in deep space, the large colony spaceship Southern Sun travels through the galaxy. On board, the evil Calgon and his men take control of the ship through a violent and explosive mutiny. Calgon's plan is to scrap the ship and sell the passengers into slavery. One man decides to make a stand and encourages others to fight against Calgar's rebels. Armed with laser cannons and neutron grenades, he leads the commander's daughter and a handful of soldiers into a blasting battle to retake the ship. So it's under siege in space, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it could be fun.
We'll find out.
We will find out. Yeah. Well, okay. Let's toss the coin.
Are you okay?
I don't think
Are you
I am.
alright?
I'll get them up. I'm really not.
You're
I
not,
don't know
are you?
what's going on tonight. I am.
Is it lack of sleep from the heat?
Yeah, quite possibly.
Yeah, because I am struggling today.
No matter what I do, I'm getting to bed for about 11:30, which is normal sort of time for me, but I'm not getting to sleep till 2, 3 in the morning.
Too hot.
Horrible. I'm not sleeping until I'm literally just passing out exhausted, and that's it, which is not good. No. Not good at all. I have this sleep monitor thing, and it tells me that my deep sleep one night was only 1 minute.
1 minute.
1 minute of deep sleep. It's like, oh, really? That sucks. Absolutely sucks.
How much deep sleep should we be having a night?
I don't know. I think it depends on the person.
Oh, okay.
The most deep sleep I've had in a single night recently was 2 hours and 37 minutes of deep sleep.
Wow, that doesn't sound like enough, does it?
No, it doesn't sound like enough, but I'd had a lot of normal sleep.
Yeah.
Whatever level. I had, I think, sporadically 40 to 50 minutes of dream sleep.
Is it heart rate?
I think it picks up on your heart rate and your body movement and that sort of thing that it picks up on, and your breathing patterns and all that sort of thing. But 2 hours 37 minutes of deep sleep. It doesn't seem like enough, but I felt so refreshed the next day. I don't know, maybe 2 hours 37 is quite good. Better than maybe what I was getting before. Who knows? Maybe it's that. Anyway, shall I toss this coin?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't toss that there. I just dropped it. Right, let's go. You didn't expect me to catch that, did you?
It went quite far out.
I think, do I need to
nearly
check?
went into space.
It was a really good flip though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was impressive. But the way I caught that, I just need to check. No, I'm not sure. I'm not
Oh,
Spider-Man.
you're not Spider-Man.
Right, what do you think it's going to be?
Good.
It is good.
Oh.
Yes. Finally, we're getting a good thing on the main
We'll check
episode.
with some good bits then.
Yeah, that's true. Right, let's pick some of the
It's your turn to
categories
pick.
for it. Let's have a little look. Right, we've got death, best death. We've got stunts.
Okay.
I'm hoping stunts has been a really disappointing
We've not had many
category.
stunts, have we?
We've got accent.
Oh, right.
It's a 1980s movie set in space. There could be someone doing something weird.
It could be.
Special effects.
Oh, that'd be a good one. For
This
an
is going to
80s
be a
movie.
good one for an 80s movie. And then, let's have a little look. What's this one? Music.
Oh, there might be some good 80s tunes in there.
I'm hoping there's some cracking 80s tunes.
Yeah.
Right, so that's death, stunts, accent, special effects, and music. Obviously, any wild cards that might come up. Emma,
Yeah.
are you looking forward to Space Mutiny?
Yes.
Well, I'm convinced. Let's go give it a watch. Welcome back, Emma. We've just watched Space Mutiny.
We have, and we stayed awake.
We did
Somehow.
stay awake. And I think we stayed awake because this movie is basically talk, talk, talk,
Yeah.
and then chasing, shooting, the occasional bit of driving, more shooting, talk, 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 chasing, shooting, occasional bit of driving, end of movie.
Occasional bit of sexy
Oh,
scenes. Not
sex-
anything
Yeah,
graphic, but
yeah.
sexy women.
Sexy women
moving around.
dancing, yeah. In very dancey moves.
Yeah.
It's an interesting film.
And there was a there was like a love story throughout, wasn't there?
Yeah, but the love story kind of happened while they were being chased and shot at.
Yeah.
You know, and as we know from Speed, the relationship's built upon high sort of
Adrenaline,
high
yeah.
adrenaline moments.
Yeah.
They're doomed to fail.
Of course they are. It's just lust.
It's just lust.
I've
It's just
also
lust in the
learned
moment.
that there's about 20 engine rooms in a spaceship. I
Wow.
didn't realise that.
And they are massive.
Yeah.
And when you look out the windows in the engine rooms, it's clearly daylight outside as well.
Yeah. And they're full of like gas cylinders and things like that.
Yeah, and people just shoot around all these engines without,
Blow
a
things
care.
up, and it's fine.
Yeah,
Anything
because
can happen in space.
yeah, because if the very first thing I'd want to do if I was in a spaceship would be make it blow up or
Yeah.
somehow disable it in the vastness of space and somehow maybe just float there forever.
Of course, why not? Why would you not want to do that?
Space Mutiny is an interesting film. Let's put it that way. Shall we go through the synopsis?
Yes.
And for what it's worth, there is a synopsis, okay? So we're set sometime in the distant future. In the movie, it's described as 13 generations have passed since the intergalactic space colony ship, the Southern Sun, which bears a very strong resemblance to the Battlestar Galactica, is on a trip to a new settlement. Okay, now tired of his fate on the ship, because effectively it's a generational ship, so it's hundreds and hundreds of years on its way to its destination. So people, instead of going into cryogenic sleep to wake up at their destination, like that terrible movie with Chris Pratt,
Yeah.
not Jurassic Park, Passengers,
Yeah.
like that. Instead, it's the people that leave will have children and families and live and die on the ship and go on. So there's a fella called Calgan who's the head of the enforcers of the ship, and now they're the ship security.
Yeah.
Okay, he is pretty pissed off with his lot in life, and he wants to get off the ship and get into a real world and breathe real air, etc., etc. That's his idea. So he wants to cause an explosion in the docking bay, and at that point, a fighter is landing, and it's a decorated fighter pilot called Dave Ryder. This is not the first Dave we've had in a movie.
It's not at all.
Always the hero, might I add. Never the bad guy. Dave Ryder survives a crash this explosion happens. It causes his ship to crash when it lands on the Southern Sun. He escapes the crash through some sort of teleportation system. Now, this is all really hard to figure out because we're seeing all of this play out on kind of BBC micros.
Yes.
It's
the computer systems, and considering this is based way in the future.
Yeah.
I mean, this movie's from the 80s, is it?
Yes,
it's
it is. 1988.
Generations on, so it's quite far in the future.
Yeah.
One thing the 80s could never do is a futuristic movie because the technology just wasn't there, like CGI and things like that just wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, you can do a futuristic movie because you've got CGI. You can just create a whole world quite easily. Back in the 80s, they didn't have great special effects. And the computers are clearly 80s computers. There's no getting away from that. There's no getting around. This is the future. It's definitely 80s.
And I think we kind of worked out, a generation must be at least 20 years.
Yeah, so 30.
At least,
20.
maximum 30,
yeah.
I would say. And so that's going to put the film in between 260 years in our future to 390 years in the future. So somewhere in between there.
Yeah.
And I can imagine in that distant time, the world's going to be a very different place, and technology is going to be a really different place.
Technology would have moved on massively. You think how much technology moves on in 50 years?
Yeah.
Let alone 200 to 300 years.
Yeah. And
it'd be drastically different.
And whilst I'd understand, yes, I know it's a generational ship. The ship was built 260 years ago, and it's been travelling through space.
Yeah.
But you're telling me that they don't have the capabilities to upgrade internal computer systems to new technology that's been developed? Definitely not. Dave Ryder survives the crash, that's caused by the explosion by Calgon, but his passenger, a fella called Professor Spooner, is killed in the crash. Now, you'd think, Professor Spooner, they mention him. In the film, they go very early in the film. They go on about the professor and how important he was to one of the characters' education.
Yeah.
You'd think he's a really important character. No, he's just a MacGuffin. He's just a guy that dies.
Yeah,
that's it. So you don't have to remember Professor Spooner in any way. Now he's killed in the crash, and serious damage through the explosion takes the docking bay out of commission. Ryder, our hero, is taken to the ship's commander, who asks for Ryder's account of events, and he goes, yeah, okay, fine, that all pans out, and I agree with that. But his daughter, Leah, is really, really angry at Ryder and accuses him of abandoning the professor to die. And this sets up the greatest love story never told.
Hey. No, come on, we've watched The Greatest Love Story Never Told.
Okay, we have.
And then they're breaking up.
This is the second greatest love story never told, but that we clearly see in a movie.
Yeah.
So Leah's obviously very angry with Dave Ryder.
Yeah.
But he's just there's just something about him.
She's so hot, isn't he?
She's just so attracted to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she looks like 20 years older than him, do you think?
Yeah, she does look quite a bit older.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's just because she's wearing a leotard all film. And that's making her look older.
It might be the 80s hair and makeup.
I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
But I think it's science.
Okay.
And I'm wearing glasses, so it must be true.
It must be true, yeah.
All right, that's definitely science. Now, also, at the same time as the docking bay accident, we also have probably the strangest group of characters in this whole film.
Yeah.
We have a group of female aliens called Balerians brought on board, and you keep hearing this phrase about the Balerians, like they're a secretive bunch, but they don't know much about Balerians, but everybody says we've got this bunch of female Balerians coming on board. We don't know much about them. It's very odd.
But the Balerians are just women in black clothing.
Yes.
They haven't tried to make them look like aliens. They are just human women.
Yeah, they're background dancers.
Yeah.
Do you remember Pan's People from Top of the Pops in the
Yeah.
70s? I know we weren't born in the 70s and that, but like...
You were born in the 70s, weren't you?
Just. Like 1979.
Yeah, 70s.
Of the very last 2 weeks of the 70s.
Still 70s, baby.
I'm still a 70s baby. Okay, I accept that. But So for any of our listeners, Pan's People were a group of dancers on a TV show called Top of the Pops. If you don't know Top of the Pops, it was basically just a chart show, okay, that would occasionally have artists on. But if they didn't have artists on, but it was a really big song at the time, they'd make a kind of dance routine to it, and the Pan's People dancers would dance on the stage in Top of the Pops to the song. And this is what the Balerian dancers women were like.
Yeah.
They would just like dance in sort of floaty chiffon dresses with leotards on, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Very weird.
They weren't aliens.
No, absolutely. But you know what I found out? That all of the Balerian scenes were filmed after production had finished, because
really?
the film was too short a runtime. So they just added all this Balerian stuff in to pad out the film. None of the directors would come back to do it. One director, the director who's meant to direct this film didn't direct it because his father passed away.
Oh, okay.
But the investors were like, we paid for a movie directed by you, so you better direct it. I mean, how fucking awful. The guy's father has died, you know?
Give him a break.
Yeah, exactly. Give him a break. So the sort of production company, this is crazy. The production company said, look, it's filmed in South Africa. Come to South Africa. We'll put you up in a hotel. If the investors come to set, just come down to set and make out like you're directing it. And another fella directed it. Now, he directed it, but then when the Balerian stuff, when the production, when they're like, this film's not long enough for a theatrical release, the person who directed it instead of the original director was like, I'm not coming back and directing anymore. So they got a completely different person in to direct just the Balerian dancer scenes.
That's
mad.
crazy.
How mad is that? It's honestly insane what went on in the background of this film, I think. Anyway, so these female aliens named Balerians, they come on board, and they never interact with any of the characters during the course of the film. Well, not a lot directly. They have one conversation with the commander of the ship at one point quite late in the film. But it's implied that they also influence a lot of the actions of the protagonists, especially the enforcers. They keep kind of using sort of telepathy to these security guards that are with the bad guy Calgan. They keep kind of, there's a few times where they seduce some of them to make them incompetent at their jobs. So the bad guy Calgan then starts killing some of his own men for being incompetent.
Yeah.
We'll probably talk about Calgan, a very specific thing that Calgan does throughout the whole film as well. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing though. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's an interesting character choice. Let's put it that way. So anyway, meanwhile, Calgan, the head of security, who's our bad guy, meets with his main co-conspirator. So this is after the accident, after Dave Ryder and Leah have their first sort of head-to-head. Calgan meets with his conspirator, a fella called McPherson, who's the ship's chief engineer, and he feels unappreciated because earlier in his career he prevented a major disaster on the ship and was left severely uninjured. Uninjured, I nearly said. He was severely uninjured. So he came out of that accident
severely
even
healthy.
better than before.
He was very severely healthy.
I'm afraid he's got a severe case of health. Oh no, he was injured and he was unable to walk without aid. So McPherson tells Calgan that it will be several weeks before any ship can land or take off from the southern sun, and that will give Calgan and his forces time to take over the ship and force them to land. And to that end, Calgan has also enlisted the aid of space pirates from the nearby Corona Borealis system. Now, McPherson consults with his engineering crew, and all bar one of them agree to join the mutiny. And the sole dissenting engineer Parsons accuses them of treason and threatens to report them to Commander Jansen. And then there's such a weird scene where all of the engineers, 4 of them, grab this other engineer and just beat him to death.
Yep.
So that happens. Now, just after that, a maintenance engineer discovers that Calgan caused the explosion in the docking bay, and he informs a bridge officer, lieutenant, lieutenant for Americans, lieutenant for us British people, Lieutenant Lamont of this. Now, he begins making his way to the bridge to inform Commander Jansen, but Calgan has intercepted his transmission to the bridge and intercepts him on the way. Offers him a choice to join the mutiny or be put, and this is the first time we hear about this, to be put into deep freeze. And when he finds out that, instead of joining the mutiny and he decides that he doesn't even want to go into deep freeze, he just then commits suicide by throwing himself over the edge in this engineering bay.
Yeah, that's funny.
That happens to so many people go flying off the edge in engineering.
We've got deaths, so haven't we, as a category?
Yeah,
so
there's a whole process of it. Now, that leads us to, because at this point, the ship doesn't realise there's a mutiny happening.
Yeah.
So they just think it was an accident, this explosion. Now, so life on the ship goes on. And that night, the commander's daughter, Leah, she's flirting with Ryder in the ship's disco.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the disco is something else.
Oh, the disco is something else. Now, a pair of the enforcers, the security, arrive and they ask for Lieutenant Lamont, who's also at the disco. She leaves the disco with these two enforcers, but Ryder and Leah kind of see her and they're like, whoa, now looks like she's being arrested. And instead of just like getting on with their night, they're like, let's go investigate. So they follow. Now they catch up and they see, I mean, she's just literally shot dead. Not a million miles away from this disco. They just shoot her dead, bang, in the middle of like this area. And Ryder and Leah overhear the whole thing because it's Calgan that shoots her, and they immediately take chase in one of these electric kind of carts that they have to rush around the ship. Now, so they go rushing around and they have all these sort of firing things and there's all sorts of action scenes, etc. And they eventually arrive at a place called the Deep Freeze. And this turns out to be a room in which any troublesome person on the ship is stored in cryogenic suspension. Now, basically, their justice system is this, right? Anybody that causes a problem is taken to the deep freeze, tortured, and if they seem like they are going to behave themselves, they're let back in. But if they're not going to behave themselves, they're chucked in the deep freeze. And that's their lot.
Yeah.
It's a very odd justice system, I'm not going to lie. So yeah. Now, Calgan decides that when he takes over the Southern Sun, he's going to give everyone a further chance to join his forces or be ejected into space. All right. Sorry, no. Ryder and Leah find out from an old boy working in the deep freeze.
Yeah.
He tells them, oh yeah, by the way, this is what's going to happen. Calgan's going to thaw them out and give them another chance or kill them all. But then at that point, Calgan and more of his security arrive, and Ryder and Leah have another kind of chase through the kind of engineering area. Everything happens in the engineering area in this film, apart from the bridge. Everything. And they're outnumbered, but they're forced to flee. But there's all sorts of gunfights and firings and people dying left, right, and centre. But now they've got solid evidence that Calgan is the ringleader of the accident and a mutiny on the ship. Now, Ryder is straight away promoted to be the ship's new security chief. However, the Southern Sun encounters space pirates because the ship is kind of headed that way, and the pirates, with Calgan's help, know where they are, etc. But with Ryder's leadership, because he is a fighter pilot, etc., the ship's defences take out all of the pirates and take absolute serious, no damage at all. So now that Calgan knows he's got no outside help, he abducts Leah and threatens to kill her if Commander Jansen doesn't voluntarily give up the Southern Sun. Oh, honestly, this is just back and forth. Now, so not wanting to rely on Jansen giving in to his demands, though, Calgan begins torturing Leah for information by using a laser device on her teeth, which actually looks like it does absolutely nothing to her because she doesn't even react when it's turned on.
No.
Right. Now, during this, McPherson arrives and gives Calgan a progress report, causing Leah to realise that now, he's kind of a mole, because they didn't realise McPherson was always in with the commander.
Yeah.
No, he's actually double-crossing them. I know, wow. Anyway, the mutiny fully begins now, with both sides taking heavy losses. Many, in particular, lots of officers falling to their deaths over various railings dotted throughout the ship. I know. Eventually, Ryder sets off an explosion that traps most of the mutineers in a section of the Southern Sun, but both Calgan and McPherson escape. Now, McPherson can't get very far because he uses a cane to walk, doesn't he? And he doesn't walk very well. So he can't get very far and resorts to hide in a gas expulsion sump. Now, can we imagine what happens to him in a gas expulsion sump? Well, he's not there in the world. So Ryder, who is at this point actually is implied to be under the influence of the Belerians, fills the sump with methane gas, which he then ignites and burns McPherson to death. Mm-hmm. Amazing. Now, with Calgan, the only mutineer still at large, Ryder and Leah pursue him into the ship's bows in an electric cart. They have another kind of chase in one of these electric carts. And now, they pursue him in the ship's bows. Now, Leah gets knocked out of Ryder's cart, which she then accidentally disables by shooting it, trying to take out Calgan.
Yeah. Who
then in turn rams Leah with his own cart, causing her a slight injury. Bearing in mind, these carts are not going particularly fast. She could easily just have stepped to the left or the right and gotten out of the way, but she doesn't. She gets hit by it. I know. Now, Ryder gets his cart working again, and Ryder aims it at Calgan's cart and drives towards it at full speed, so maybe, 15 kilometres an hour?
Yeah.
He jumps out at the last second. Well, I mean, he could probably just step out of it. It's going that slow. But Calgan, for some strange reason, is unable to dodge it, and he is bang. They hit each other, great big explosion, and Calgan is apparently consumed in a massive explosion. Now, with our mutiny thwarted, Ryder and Leah start making preparations to get married, which is odd because, you've just watched your husband burn the man to death, or your husband-to-be just burn the man to death casually. Hey, let's get married. But however, later, after all the frivolity and all the fun of them being all happy, we come back down to the engineering area, and we see Calgan's body propped up against the wall, and in probably one of the worst kind of he's going to open up his eyes any moment, isn't he? It would take forever just panning the camera around to his face. And then he opens his eyes, and it's like, oh Jesus, why did it have to take so long just to get to him? I think I was kind of urging the film to finish at that point. Please, just hurry up.
I think we both were.
Just run over to him and tell him to open up his eyes. And we end the film on a cliffhanger. And that's it. That is Space Mutiny. Mm-hmm. And do you know what I found out about the film?
What?
It is actually in the universe of Battlestar Galactica.
Oh, okay.
So, in this film, there are sometimes footage of space battles outside. Like at the beginning of the film, Ryder's attacked, and he before he lands in the Southern Sun, and there's this space battle. And when it's the pirates, there's a space battle outside. And I said to you, those ships are from Battlestar Galactica, because I watched that film a lot when I was a kid because I loved it with the fly. I don't know if you know it was flying motorbikes and the Cylons with the red eyes. I've
never seen Battlestar Galactica, so I've heard of it, but I've not seen it.
Yeah. And so I was thinking, that looks a lot like the ships from Battlestar Galactica, and it is. And I thought to myself, how did they get away with stealing all this footage from another film? But it does turn out that this film is actually in the extended universe of Battlestar Galactica. Oh, there you go.
That's
wow.
It then.
It does, doesn't it? I mean, it's completely an uninteresting fact, but there we go. So yeah, Emma, that was Space Mutiny. Should we try and figure out the good bits of it now?
It might be difficult, but let's try.
It may be difficult. I do have a couple of good bits written down. It was, a bit of a romp. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
You know, but it did suffer a bit from, it was just always in, because let's face it, it was filmed in some massive factory in South Africa.
Yeah.
And there's only so many areas you could go to reuse in a factory that everywhere just ends up looking the same. And yeah, I get it. Look, maybe you're fighting in the underbelly of a massive spaceship. I get it. But it looks so just the same thing over and over again.
It was the same thing.
It just was, wasn't it? It just didn't stop. Did not stop. Right, so let's talk about the good bits. So we've got music, we've got death, we've got stunts, we've got accent, and we've got special effects.
Well, I can tell you straight off, I've got no stunts and no special
Do you not?
effects.
Oh, I've got a good stunt.
You go with stunts then.
So this film is absolutely chock-a-block of people being blown up with some sort of space bazooka, which is exactly what it is, isn't it? They have this bazooka that they fire off, and it causes it's a laser that causes an explosion. However that works, science me that anyway.
A laser that doesn't even hit them sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't even hit them.
No.
It just hits somewhere near.
Yeah.
And it causes a massive explosion. And the amount of times people then go flying off of these gantries.
Yeah.
And they keep jumping and diving off, okay? But there's one guy, okay, who gets hit. And yeah, where everyone else just kind of goes, wah, and launches himself off.
Yeah.
This one guy does a little pirouette.
Oh,
and then jumps off.
Yeah.
And it was like, yes, finally,
Yeah.
someone's doing something a little bit more interesting.
Someone's getting their 5 minutes of fame.
Yeah. Now, I've got a bad stunt, okay? And I'm not obviously going to go on about it, but it's the exact opposite. It's the same thing that happens. Someone gets shot and goes flying off the balcony.
Yeah.
But it's absolutely the opposite of graceful. So I'll talk about that obviously on the flip side. But this one I really liked because it was just like, you've seen so many people go flying, and in this instance, it was just fresh. Graceful. Demure.
Yeah.
I've been seeing that all over TikTok.
Oh yeah, demure.
It's demure.
Why is that?
I've got no idea. But everyone's doing it now. So I thought I'd use the word and really date the episode of when we recorded it. Because by the time this episode comes out in about a week's time, the internet will have moved on. There'll be a whole new trend.
New trend every week, isn't there?
And everyone will be listening to this thinking, that's not very demure, David. Anyway, who knows? So yeah, I did have a good stunt for that.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people throwing themselves off the balconies. And look, it's not a purpose-built set. It must be dangerous throwing yourself off a balcony in a power station.
Yeah.
And I've only ever been in a power station once. I went to...
You've never been in a power station.
Well...
I haven't lived, obviously.
No, you haven't lived.
Well,
so,
it's bad day.
my brother... I went with my brother to The Hague for a music festival.
Yeah.
Now, it wasn't any music I was into at all, okay? It was a lot of experimental noise music, okay? Not so my cup of tea.
Went for your brother.
Yeah, I did, yeah. And it was a trip to The Hague, and I thought, well, I've never been to The Hague apart from war crimes that I've committed, you know?
Yeah.
But, you know, I've done my time.
Yep.
I've done my time. And one of the gigs was in this power station, this massive power station. And I can't tell you, I walked into a room and instantly felt small. Okay. It was so big, so vast, and there was just so much kind of machinery that was disused. And it was, you know, and when I was watching them run around this power station or this factory that they were in, I was like, that's what it was like running around in a place like that, watching a gig. And I mean, there was like 50 people there, including the band, and there was about 49 people in the band. I don't know where my brother went, but it was just vast, and it reminded me of that, and it was enormous.
Yeah. So.
And I think to myself, you know, the gantries that were up there, those are the sorts of gantries that people were throwing themselves off of. And Christ, that's a drop to the floor below. Yeah, it was a drop. It was a good 50-foot drop in some place. And you're like, Jesus Christ. Anyway, so good on them for stunts, which only makes my bad stunt even more shocking when we get to talk about it.
Yep.
And I'm not being like clickbaity there to be like, click on the flip side to find out more. Watch the film and you will know exactly the stunt I'm talking about. But also come and see us on the flip side, because there'll be a lot of bad stuff. There'll be a lot of bad stuff to talk about. So yeah, I do have a good stunt. There you go. That's it.
Do you have good special effects?
No, not a single one.
Funnily enough, because it was the 80s and they didn't have special effects.
There is not a single good special effect.
Basic special effects.
Yeah, very, very basic.
I've got some bad special effects.
Oh, go on.
But, well, no, I can't say them on here.
Oh, no, of course, yeah. No, of course. Yeah. There's...
I've only got bad, I haven't got any good.
There are definitely no good special effects. Not even any of the mind-bending Belarian female dancer stuff, was there? There was nothing interesting done with any of it. I think the only thing you could say was a good special effect is because, I mean, it was footage from 1978 that was used when Battlestar Galactica was released. And the footage from 1978, the spaceships having a space fight in space, looked better than the special effects that they did in the movie in 1988.
Yeah.
But I can't even give them that good special effects because it's directly taken from another film. They didn't make it.
No.
Right. What about accents?
Accent. I've got the Valerians.
Oh, okay.
So the Valerians speak.
Yes.
But their mouths don't move. There's just a robotic voice that comes out, and I thought it was just funny. So, I guess it is kind of an accent. It's like a robotic voice.
Yeah.
But it was just the way that they just look at whoever they're talking to, and then this voiceover is just played, and they're just there with their mouth closed. And I was like, why did they make it? They look like humans.
Yes.
Why have they made it so that they don't actually speak out of their mouths?
Yeah.
Is that the only alien thing about them?
I think I said to you...
It's exactly like us, but they just don't speak properly.
I hope they're speaking telepathically because I'm worried about where else they're talking from.
Well, they are aliens. It could be anywhere.
It could be. It could be absolutely anywhere. And, yeah. Are they like the inspiration for Alexa or whatever? Because they just... There was times when, like, I think one of the... when they came on the ship, at the very beginning, the security guard, like... meeting them was like, oh, hello, welcome to the Southern Sun, blah, blah, blah. And they look at him like, and they say something very dismissive, like, we don't need your assistance, basically. And it was just very odd. It was very odd. It's hard to explain them.
Yeah, but it just, I don't know, it's just weird that they're just women. They're not, like, they haven't even attempted to make them look like aliens.
Yep.
And but then the only thing they've changed is that I think it's telepathic talking, I guess.
I hope.
And but then there's like a weird robotic voice. It's not like
it's not
just like a normal woman's voice. But I mean, I think they could have gone to a bit more effort to make them a bit more alien. I don't know.
No.
But it made me laugh when they spoke because we can't really describe it. You have to watch it. But it's just the way they look at people when they speak as well. It's like, okay, what's going on here?
And even like some of the people that they interact with, they're like, what's going on here? Yeah. And I don't know if they're acting. I think that's just... I think
they might just be like, what the hell? Why these are meant to be aliens. These are just normal women that are just standing here dancing weird.
Yeah. Yeah. And they do dance. It is very much like watching a GCSE dance production.
Yeah, like a drama.
The dancing.
Yeah.
It's... Yeah. Yep. Yeah, lots of flowy arms and pointing to the distance. Very strange. But yeah, I don't have a good accent otherwise. I've got a bad accent.
Yeah, I've got bad.
But I certainly don't have a good accent. What about music?
I don't have... Oh, sorry, yes. Music, the song over the end credits.
Oh, yes.
I don't have any bad music because it was just very kind of 80s, which everyone knows that I like. But there was quite a little bop on the end credits. It was quite a little tune, wasn't it? And we were kind of... Yeah.
It was a real little pop song going on, wasn't it? Yeah.
But there was a little bit of music like at the disco and stuff, but there wasn't any like bangers in there, was there? Like 80s bangers. It was just like 80s-ish.
Well, I really liked the music in the disco.
Yeah.
I've got that as my good one.
Oh, okay.
But otherwise, yes, the rest of the music in the film was very generic 80s synth stuff.
Whereas they could have done quite a lot more with it because it was the 80s. I mean, there's great music from the 80s.
I mean, all you
Maybe they
needed...
didn't have the rights to use it though, because you have to pay a fee, don't you?
But I mean, how much do you really need to pay for music in the 80s anyway? I mean,
I don't know.
like, it's quite easy. It was quite easy to make music in the 80s if you were musically inclined, because you just got yourself a Casio, you put it on a weird setting, and you just hit a couple of keys.
Like Ross on Friends when he's got his sound. He's found his sound. He's not going to be appreciated in his own time.
Or any time, perhaps. Who knows? Yeah. But I did like the music in the disco, because it was very... That's the time when I think when the 80s can seem really futuristic with its synth music. That's the best bit about it. The music in the disco, I don't think would have been out of place in movies like Blade Runner or something like that. I think it'd have sat in very perfectly fine with that kind of futuristic sort of genre, and it was perfect for a disco where even 13 generations in the future, hula hoops are still a big thing.
Yeah. So this disco, they took their hula hoops to and were hula hooping at the disco. And by the way, we touched it briefly earlier that there's like some sexual scenes. And when I say sexual, I don't mean... There wasn't any... We've seen movies, haven't we, where there's been a bit of soft porn going on in the middle of a movie, which doesn't really fit with the movie. But this wasn't like that. It was just like the aliens were like sexy women in... Yes. Everyone had a leotard on. So it was very 80s.
Apart from the men. The men were all fully clothed.
The women had leotards
the women were in leotards,
but they also had these skirts on that were totally pointless because you could see their whole arse.
They were belts.
They were, they weren't. They meant to look like skirts, but they were so short you could see the bottom of the leotard and just somebody's arse. Yeah. But they were in this disco, and they all had hula hoops, and they were like hula hooping on the dance floor. And I just thought, that's not practical at all in a busy club, is it?
I mean, if I'm standing there in a club and I keep
need quite a lot of room for a hula hoop. Or getting caught in one of them.
Maybe that's the plan.
That's how they,
maybe that's it. You get tangled up in the hula hoop with someone and you're like, well, I guess I'm getting off with you now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
But yeah, it was the costume was just 80s,
oh,
wasn't
yeah,
it?
It was.
There's no getting away from...
And there was also one point in the disco where, like, we both kind of said it at the same time. Did the cameraman have to linger on that point? Yeah, he lingered on like an arse at one point, and I was just like, what? Okay, but it's not relevant to the story at all. We're just throwing these little bits in there. And as soon as we finished that sentence, there was another shot directly of the same arse again, just bending over further.
I can only think fill in time because, like you said earlier, they had to put the aliens in for a time.
Yeah, so they were just adding extra like bits
There's also not a sex scene, but
there's a post-sex scene.
Yeah, there's a post-sex scene with Dave and what's her name?
Leah.
Where it's really odd. We didn't talk about this either. There's an area of the spaceship that's like fake grass and like trees in the background and stuff. Like, it's weird. It's like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, isn't it?
It is, but without any of the fun chocolate bits.
Yeah, without any of the sweets and chocolate, none of the good bits.
But there did seem to be like a Hershey's Kiss somewhere. I'm glad you got that reference.
They were like lying on this blanket, or like they had a blanket over them, with like cushions, didn't they?
Yes, yeah.
And he was lying there, and it was the weirdest interaction between two people. So they're kind of lying there, they're obviously naked, they've obviously had sex, but then the kissing was just really awkward, wasn't it? And like, did he kiss her like around the chest area?
Yes, around the chest.
And then she's lying there.
Yeah.
And then she's lying there, like he's got his arm around her, and she's lying like they're spooning kind of thing.
Yeah.
And one of her boobs is just out.
She's one bap out.
Yeah. And I wasn't sure if she was aware while filming that boob was just, you can see the nipple and everything. The boob's just out, and the other boob's tucked in the blanket. And I just thought, she must have been aware that was out, but if that was me, I'd be like, sorry, can we cut, and can I just cover this boob up?
So did you know 4 seconds of this movie was cut to make the film a 15 in the UK? And I'm guessing it's the 4 seconds of Leah's nipple that you see. Yeah.
I'm sure it's more than 4 seconds, because
it must have been. But also I'm thinking, the bits that they cut, there was like conversation happening there. It must have been really weird cutting that.
Yeah.
But I mean, there wasn't anything serious going on.
nothing of any interest.
No, I
But
don't know.
it just was funny how this. I don't think it would be as funny if both boobs were out, but it was just one boob poking out the top of the blanket. It just made me laugh. It just looked odd.
And it does, but yeah,
It
you're
was
right.
so awkward between them, wasn't it?
I think it does feel like something where like the set dressers or something might just say, you know, oh Leah, cover yourself, but
I
didn't.
also think you can quite easily in a movie allude to the fact that a couple had sex.
Yeah.
But they're obviously lying there post having sex, right?
Yep.
Could they not just be spooning and chatting? Did they have to do that weird, awkward kissing, like him kissing her chest and stuff? And did she have to have a bap out, or could they just have laid there fully, like covered over, but you can clearly see they're naked? But you know, because
that's fine. You know, just cuddled up to him or whatever,
just
and
been
you
cuddled
know.
up and chatting, and then you're like, okay, they're under a blanket, they're clearly naked, they've obviously had sex. There's lots of sexual tension between them before that. We know they've had sex. We're not stupid. We can work that out. I don't think we needed the awkward kiss and...
I know.
It was just weird.
You're right, though. There was a lot of sexual tension between them beforehand. Yeah. They had also killed a lot of security guards beforehand as well.
Yeah.
And so murder must
Obviously
make them
them
horny, you know, as it does. And do you know what's even weirder? Why was it so awkward when our main actor who played Dave and our main actress who played Leah were husband and wife in real life?
Oh, were they?
Yeah. Husband and wife in real life. Unless I've read the fact wrong,
I don't think I'd put
but
those two together.
at some point, I remember reading that. I'm sure it was in the trivia, maybe that Ray Rabani, I think that's his name, and whoever it is, I can't remember where it is, but I'm sure I read that the guy playing Ray Rabani, when he got the part, the guy playing Dave Ryder, but he got the part, and they were like, "Yeah, who do you want to? Can you think of anyone that can play?" And he was like, "My wife will play it." So you know, get her a payday. I don't know, but they are married or were married in real life at the time of filming, apparently. But yes.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a weird scene. It's a weird scene.
It's
not gonna lie. Completely unnecessary because it doesn't actually. Again, it doesn't move the plot on, and they had just killed a load of people and now decided to, you know.
We're on the subject of killing people. Can I just mention the deep freeze room?
Oh yeah, please go on.
They put people into deep freeze.
Yeah.
But they hung them up like they would, I don't know, an abattoir, like they would hang up meat at an abattoir. Yeah. Why were they hanging up? It was so odd.
I suppose it's probably easier to hang them up like a deep freeze than to the set designers build cryogenic pods for them. That's the only thing I can imagine.
Yeah, I guess it was a problem.
But they didn't even look particularly frozen. They just looked like people being hung there.
Yeah.
It was.
When they were in there, I was like, what's going on now? And then we realised it was a deep freeze room. I was like, why did they explain why they were deep freezing people?
Those are the people that committed crimes on the ship.
Oh yes, they did. Yeah.
If they couldn't be rehabilitated, they would deep freeze them until
when?
Exactly. I mean, it's a massive ship. Just build a prison.
I can't help but feel like they took a lot of inspiration from Austin Powers. Oh no, they can't have done because Austin Powers was later.
I think Austin Powers took a lot of inspiration from that.
Yeah, because you've got like the deep freeze.
Yeah.
Because he gets deep frozen, doesn't he? You've got the little car things we haven't even talked about yet.
Yeah, we've not touched on them.
Yeah, so the little cars they drive around in, it's like in one of the Austin Powers, he goes down a corridor and he does a 300-point turn because he can't get turned around. And they also at one point, they take someone else's costumes to disguise themselves as guards, I think.
Yeah, they do.
And in Austin Powers, there's that scene where there's like a really tall guy, like he's about 7 foot, and then there's like a little short, overweight woman. Yeah. And him and Liz Hurley fit perfectly into their costumes. Yeah, because literally
the guy that Leah, whose costume they take, he's kind of like. Yeah. He's a weird guy. She seduces him and knocks him
really
out.
Odd, yeah.
But he's much bigger than her.
Yeah, it wouldn't fit. It fits like a glove.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, when you see her next, it's cinched in around the waist.
Yeah, I definitely think Austin Powers has taken. Mike Myers has taken.
100%. I do agree.
Probably a few movies that he's seen like it, but there's a few moments where you think this is just Austin Powers, isn't it?
100% it was. And I guarantee you, if you watch this film you will go, wait a minute, 100%.
So they have these little like car things that they drive around to the spaceship, which are clearly made of cardboard. They're so flimsy, aren't they?
Yeah.
And they go at about 2 miles an hour, and they have chases in them, and you're just like, this is painful to watch.
And they've clearly only got like about 2 or 3 of them at most.
Yeah.
And they look like very much just painted cardboard around some kind of scooter.
Yeah.
They're
awful.
Yeah, they really are bad.
The
Oh, the gun!
gun!
I know. As soon as you said "and they had," I
like that in my
knew.
hand.
I knew. Yeah.
They have a gun attached to the side, but it's too far back to reach. And we were joking, saying they're trying to get their gun. They're like, "Where is it? I can't find it. I can't reach it." So they're like, they can't shoot anyone because they can't reach the gun that's taped taped to the side of the thing, but way too far back.
And there's nothing less threatening than your bad guy, Calgan, doing something evil and then driving away in this tiny little clown car.
And also, someone chasing you in a vehicle that you can outrun. I'm sorry, but you're just going to be running away from them laughing because you're like, I can run faster than this stinking car.
Just get out and chase them down.
I can just climb up the stairs, and you can't in that thing. Yeah, crazy. But they were amusing.
They were amazing. They really were something else. Just watch the film for that, to see the chase scenes in these little weird little cars. But otherwise, if it wasn't for a chase scene, they'd be a great little... I'd want one.
Yeah.
Could you imagine owning one of those little things just to zip around in? How cool would that be?
Zip around, slowly move
Well,
around.
yeah, but it's faster than what? Well,
is it?
Is it? It's faster than walking speed, but it's not faster than jogging speed.
No, it's not. You can jog faster than it. It's ridiculous.
Can. But if I could get 5 kilometres in it in 30 minutes, I'd be a happy man.
Yeah.
I could just get in my car and get there in 10.
That might be easier.
That might be easier, yeah. All right. So, yeah, what were we talking about there? Were we talking about music and we got on quite far there, didn't we?
Oh, I just got on to talking about the deep freeze and stuff because I think we mentioned it.
That's right, we did. That's going to lead us on to... Oh, that's a very elongated 2. Deaths.
Deaths. Okay, so I liked...
Oh, go on.
I'm calling it a pogo stick. It wasn't a pogo stick.
No.
There was a death where they...
Did you not realise he was using it as a cane at first?
Was it a cane?
Yeah, it was his cane.
But it was like a T-shape, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
So it wasn't like a normal cane where it would just have
That's
a
right.
handle one side.
Yeah.
It was like a T-shape. So it looked a bit like a pogo stick. But before he killed him with the pogo stick, there was a bit of a pulling around. The guy, they all held the guy someone was on each leg and someone was each arm.
This was the engineers that McPherson got to help with the mutiny, yes.
So they've got this guy and they're pulling him around, and it made me think of an Eddie Izzard scene where when he was younger, he used to go through the tube and he wouldn't pay his 20p to get on the tube. And he did it a few times, and the police caught up with him, and they were like, "It's a 20p kid," and they caught him, and he said they got him into this push me, pull me, and he was like, it wasn't they were going, "Stop struggling, stop getting away," and he wasn't struggling. They were pulling him all kinds of ways, and he was like, "I'm not trying to get away. This is just stretching a pedestrian." It's quite a funny scene, and he's like, "Surely the police have got more to do than I've stolen 20p's worth." I'm like, "What?" Oh, he says at one point, "You've caused us £1.20 of trouble in your time." It's like, surely they've got
£1.20?
Yeah, surely they've got better things. Just 20p at every journey kind of thing back then, when he was a kid. So it just reminded me of that because they were kind of they all had a limb each and they were kind of stretching him out, and then they just get this what looks like a pogo stick and just drive it into...
Eddie Izzard?
No, not on the movie. They just kill him with that, don't they?
Yes,
but I
yeah,
just the pulling, the stretching a pedestrian beforehand. Because it made me think of that. So that's my favourite death.
That's brilliant.
What was yours?
It's still near that good now. So my favourite death was... so when Leah's kidnapped, okay...
Yeah.
Obviously she's being tortured, and Dave, the commander's like, "No, we can't give in to these demands, etc, etc." Anyway, Dave goes rogue and he goes to rescue her, but on the way he steals someone's outfit, and she rescues herself before he even gets there.
Yeah.
And we know that she takes the outfit of the guy that she seduces, etc. But so they are all dolled up in the enforcer uniforms
Yeah.
as the bad guys, and it doesn't really work because the first time they walk past any enforcer area, they go, "Hey, we want to see some identification," okay?
Yeah.
So they're stopped instantly, and one guy, Dave, just punches, okay?
Yeah.
But then another guy, they grab up out of his seat, okay?
Yeah.
Dave punches him, kicks him between the legs, then Leah kicks him between the legs, and then Dave clearly shoots him in the nuts.
Yeah.
And the guy dies. And I thought, God, the other guy you just knocked out, what's up with this guy?
Yeah, this poor
it's just
guy.
because he asked for identification, you were like, he's really going to get it.
Yeah.
I mean, they punish him. You know, I mean, it's not even like, I mean, the guy that they shoot is facing away from us at the point they shoot him. We see them kicking between the legs,
Yeah.
and then he's facing away from the camera, and you think, oh, he's just shot him in the chest. No, that gun is clearly pointing down, and they shoot him in the balls.
Just shot him in the chest. Surely shooting him in the chest is...
The chesticles.
Chesticles. Surely shooting him in the chest is bad because he could die.
Yeah, but like they kill him anyway.
But the poor guy's probably looked at the other guy and thought, oh, he's only going to hit me in the face.
Yeah.
And then he's like, what?
What's going on?
What are you doing? Yeah.
It was just so bizarre. They were so mean to this one guy.
It's like, just picked on him.
So that was my I thought that was the best death. Oh no, I had that under bad. No, I'm joking. That was under my good noise. It just made me laugh. So mean. Yeah, that was my favourite death. I thought that was the best one. But yeah. Now, I mean, I don't have much more. I have a wild card.
We haven't done line. We had line as well.
Did we have lines?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't note down that we had lines.
Yeah, we had lines.
Did we? Oh no. I didn't note down we had lines, and I didn't even look at lines.
Oh,
but
I've got one good line.
But I just looked at my wild card. I've written down a line as a wild card, so I'm going to use it as a good line as well.
Oh, okay.
So go on. What's your good line?
Right, I've got to start writing down who says. I just write down lines. I don't write down who said them.
Oh, well, here's a little test. Do I remember who said it?
Okay, so
Okay.
It's at the end when they're doing the car thing. They're all in the cars.
Yeah.
And one of them, I think he shoots a laser or something, and he goes, "Take this, space bitch." But I don't know who said it.
That's Calgan, I think. I think
it?
it's yeah, I think it's Calgan that says that. Take this space bitch,
okay.
or at least it's one of his lackeys. But
Yeah.
definitely, yeah. Take this space bitch.
Space bitch. I think it's just something about the word bitch. When people throw bitch on the end of something, it just makes it so much more aggressive. It's
Yeah.
just like, not just take that bitch. It just makes it's so rude, doesn't it?
Unless it's one of my favourite vines of all time. You were never into Vine, were you?
No, you've shown me some.
I've shown you some.
Yeah.
But one of my favourite vines of all time is when there's a guy with a guitar and there's a girl there, and he strums the guitar. He's clearly doesn't know how to play the guitar, and he's like,
Yeah.
"I love you, bitch. Strum. I'm always gonna love you, bitch." It actually gets me every time. So, bitch, I think is like the word
It's just
changes depending on the method. It's either a very, aggressive word. Take that, space bitch.
Breaking Bad.
That's Science, bitch. That guy. I've never watched it, but I know all the memes.
Jesse, the
Yes.
young boy that's in it that helps him sell the drugs, he will just say a line and
Yeah.
he'll have a little pause and he'll just go, bitch. And it just makes me laugh every time because it's not even said altogether. It's just like, well, I'm not going to do that, bitch. It's just like he adds bitch to the end of a lot of things, and I'm just waiting for the bitch. Like every time he speaks to someone like one of the drug dealers or someone that he's been, trying to be hard with, he just throws in a little bitch, and it just makes me laugh. Yeah. So that was mine. What was yours?
Well, my one line is this, right? So there's a point in the film where Dave is he's taken over security now.
Yeah.
He's the head of security after Calgan and his men, etc., have mutinied. And he's giving like a rousing speech to the people on the ship that are on the side of the good side, effectively, the non-mutiny side. And he's sort of made this area of the ship that's kind of like, there's no way the engineers could storm it and take it over. So this is like their sort of bastion, their last stand area. And so Dave's given this great big rousing speech about how they're going to give it to them, how they're going to defend the ship from these evil people, blah, blah, blah. And it just kind of cuts to McPherson. At this point, they don't know that he's the co-conspirator. So he's, the mole, etc. for Calgon.
Yeah.
And clearly he hates Dave because Dave is, in charge and doing great and blah, 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 spoiling their plans. And Dave's giving this great big speech. It's rousing. I mean, it's not.
Yeah.
It's really
It's meant
not.
to be.
But it's meant to be. And there are points where people are like going, yeah, yeah. It's the really weird reactions to it. And it just cuts to McPherson and he goes, the most vitriol a man can have, asshole. I was like, yes, perfect.
Yeah.
I don't care.
You've said it all.
Yes.
You've said it all you need to say.
One word,
Yeah.
one reaction, that's all you need. You don't need to be the world's greatest script writer in the world,
No.
but you go from a rousing speech to the bad guy just calling them an asshole. Mwah.
Yeah.
Chef's kiss, perfect.
Yeah.
It's equivalent to, what was that one in the house where the two guys, the British ghost hunter and the American ghost hunter were together?
Oh.
And he says something like, well, shit in my mouth. That's it, isn't it? He just says something that's so unexpected.
Is that the same one where they have a phone call and he goes, "You're a dick"?
Yes,
On the phone,
you're a dick. Yeah, exactly
Just
it.
get to the point, yeah.
Just get to the point, say a line that's just perfect for the moment. Asshole. Best bit of the film for me, actually, that one line.
Oh, okay.
Best bit of the film. And, yes, great. There was a nipple in one scene. Pales in comparison.
one nipple.
Pales in comparison to McPherson's arsehole.
Okay. Right, can I just do a special mention
Yeah, of course, go on.
to the scene? And this was totally just out of the blue and probably put in there to pad out some time as well.
Okay.
Of a guy just practicing nunchucks.
Oh, yeah.
What's that all about?
What? Why? What's
But
that?
just at some point, just out of nowhere, cuts this guy just really practicing his nunchucks. And I was like, how do you use nunchucks? Do you just whack someone around the head with them? Like, because you see people doing all the crossing over of the arms, but you're like,
Yeah.
in a fight, do you just whack somebody around the head?
The thing is, right, look at it this way. If you're a guy, if you're a guy and you're swinging around a bit of wood on a chain attached to another bit of wood,
No one's going to come near you.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't want to get near them because I think,
So is that what it is? It's like a deterrent. It's like, keep
imagine.
back because I'm just going to.
and it's a blunt weapon just to hit. But also, I think they're used, and again, this is just from watching a lot of terrible kung fu movies and ninja movies in the 80s and that, where you see them, they use the nunchucks to disarm because of the chain that will, if you parry a sword with it, it will wrap around the sword and you can disarm. But again, I don't know if that's how they're supposed to be used. That's just what you sometimes see in
I've
films.
ever seen people train with them, but not actually use them in a fight. I
Of
don't
course,
think.
there's the iconic Bruce Lee
Yeah.
when he's doing all that. What film is it? I can't remember the
not
film.
sure.
It's
I've
not
not
Enter the
watched
Dragon
Bruce
where
Lee.
he's using the nunchucks. Is it? Yeah, I think, is it Enter the
I
Dragon?
don't know. I'm not up with my Bruce Lee
No.
films.
It's been so long since I've watched a Bruce Lee film. Watched a lot when I was young, but Enter the Dragon was the one that I always kind of watched, but I can't remember the nunchuck scene in that. It might have been. Anyway, but that's the most famous scene with nunchucks, apart from, well, now, our evil security guard chucking these nunchucks around in bloody Space Mutiny. It was weird. But I remember you were laughing at that. You got anything else to say about this film?
No, I don't think so.
Certainly nothing good.
No, nothing good.
I don't have any other sort of wild cards around it either.
No.
Although I did say one thing, it would have been good to have had hair and makeup and costumes in this film.
Yeah, because it was 80s.
It really was.
No, it wasn't supposed to be 80s. It was supposed to be set in the future.
But
But
it was very much.
Was very 80s.
Yeah, it was very much 80s. But I think we mentioned obviously how women were just in leotards, and it was even like, it wasn't just like recreational at the disco. The women on the bridge of the ship, that was their uniform.
Oh yeah,
was
they
leotards.
just had like the big shoulder bits, didn't they,
Yeah.
to make it look spacey.
Yes.
So not shoulder pads, but like like these curved bits that came off the shoulder.
Yeah,
to
that's
make
right.
it look more like space-like. But they were just in leotards.
Yeah, they were.
Which, you can't get more 80s than leotards, can you?
It would have been a great film for
So,
costume
like,
for that.
If they had the big, what are they called? Leg warmers. If they
Yes.
had those as well, that would have just topped it up. But they didn't have leg warmers, they did have a lot of leotards.
And you know what also got me as well about this film, talking about costume?
Yeah.
Not even the enforcers, like the main bad guys, but the chief engineer, McPherson, you know he's a bad guy because his uniform, the badge on his uniform basically says SS.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
did nobody notice that was an SS uniform? And he looks very much, he's like stormtroopery as well. It's like white uniform, black shoulder pads. But I'd imagine if that uniform looked more like security guard instead of engineers. It was very odd. Anyway, that's not good stuff about the film at all. Very much not good stuff. Do we want to score this film?
Yes.
What are you going to give it? Or do you want me to go first?
I'm going to give it a 2, I think.
Okay.
I'm going to give it 1 because it's 80s. It's not supposed to be 80s, but it is 80s.
Yeah.
And you know how much I love the 80s.
Yes, indeed.
The hair, the makeup, the costume,
The
the
synths.
disco.
Yeah, the hula hoops.
The song at the end.
100%.
Love the song at the end.
Your eyes lit up when that song came on.
Yeah. And the little bits that reminded me of Austin Powers made me laugh. So I'm giving it a point for that as well. So I'm giving it 2 out of 5. What are you giving it?
Okay. Well, see, I was thinking about this today and I was thinking, do you know what? I'm going to give it 3 stars out of 5.
Oh, okay.
And purely on based on it's a good bad movie. I mean, it's an okay
it's got all
bad
the
movie.
elements
It's
of what we're looking for, isn't it?
It's been so long, I think, since we've had a film that I think can actually just be said is, you know what? Someone made a film.
Yeah.
It's camp.
Low budget.
It's bad. It suffers with a low budget. They make the most out of a low budget. They go for it. And it's got all these weird things going on, like extra scenes added after the film.
Yeah.
You know, people deciding that they're not directing it, people taking over directing it, and all weird things. Battlestar Galactica, just scenes taken from other films and put into it. So it's just a really good sort of B movie.
Yeah.
But terrible at the same time, and I really enjoyed it. It's a camp space affair.
I think because we've done a few higher budget movies lately.
Yeah.
And they don't really fit into bad movies, do they? Because although they're terrible,
yes,
when you've got a big budget, you don't have the shit special effects and stunts and all of that. You have, you know, like the JLo one we watched. You've got CGI, and so it's not awful because like the scenery doesn't look awful because it's CGI.
Yeah.
Whereas this was proper 80s, terrible special effects, terrible. Like you didn't have CGI, so it's all really shit. It was amazing.
Yeah,
like the lasers and stuff just look shit.
And that's the thing. I really appreciated it for that.
Yeah.
Do you know one thing that I mentioned earlier on, and I'm meant to say a little bit more about it?
Yeah.
Do you know how obviously they're in space?
Yeah.
And they're running around this internal sort of engine rooms of the spaceship and that.
Yeah.
But there are certain points you can clearly see daylight coming in.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, early on in the film, the original director, to get around that fact, in some sort of post editing, they coloured that light to orange to make it look like it was maybe some sort of light coming from the engines and so on. Now, and they were going to put a line in how they literally were going to write a line into the film to explain the odd orange light in the engine rooms. But then, because obviously that original director's father passed away, then that message didn't go on to the guy that took over.
Oh, I see.
So, but they had these, still had these, I don't know how it worked, but they still had these orange lights. But they never filmed the scene about explaining the orange lights anyway. But then, when they did when the film was cut and they did colour correction and all that on the scenes as part of the post-editing, I don't know, I'm not, into that sort of world. They did colour correction on it. They corrected the orange colour of the lights back to daylight. So it was such a weird basis of
Yeah.
events that they had these orange lights, a line that would explain it, that was then cut from the creation, and then they just ended up putting them back to daylight.
Yeah.
And now they are clearly running around a factory in daylight in space. And very, very, I mean, if that doesn't just scream B-movie and behind the scenes dreadfulness going on, it doesn't do it. It can't. So 3 stars because, just because of that.
That's one of your stars.
That's one of the stars. The hula hoops.
Yeah.
The gratuitous bottom shots.
Yeah.
You know, why not? It's so odd. Anyway, 3 stars from me. Right. We don't have any more to say about this apart from
bad stuff.
Yeah, so you can all come over and join us on
the flip side.
Well, we're going to talk about all the bad bits of this now. So remember, the flip side is our Patreon episodes where we're going to talk about the opposite, the bad stuff of all the categories that we talked about in this episode. You can come and join us. There's now going to be, at this point in time, 37 episodes of the flip side.
Yeah.
37 whole episodes.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Not half episodes, episodes.
Whole episodes.
Yeah.
Why do I do that? Whole episodes.
Yeah.
No, when I edit them, I can only be bothered editing half of them, that's it. So $3 a month, you can come and join us. You'll fund our tea. Yeah. You'll fund us renting these movies. Yeah. You'll even fund my petrol driving all the way from my house to Emma's house.
Yeah.
So we can sit here and drink tea
and talk about movies.
And talk about movies eventually.
Yeah.
When we stop catching up for the first hour and a half. All right, Emma, I'm saying goodbye to everyone.
I'm saying goodbye too.
Bye.
Bye.